Welcome back. As more firings come in from the Trump administration and the Elon Musk-led Department of Government Efficiency, there seems to be some confusion. So we're now talking about some of the memos sent out informing now the workers that they are being let go. So these firings are being issued against federal workers who are currently in a probationary period. But we're also seeing now some cases where, like in the CDC, senior level staff who were recently promoted to a management position are also in a probationary period. So the wording about these termination notices are also very different, with some clearly saying the firing is without cause, while others are a little more vague. So here's Chief Legal Analyst to be able to talk about this. Colleague Rhodes, thank you for joining us. I mean, this is a big conversation. I mean, I feel like all of us are talking about this. The first thing is you're seeing this on a personal level. So how does the wording create legal issues for people now finding out they don't have a job?
Let's start with that part first. I can only quote Judge Ricky McCoy, longest-serving district court judge in Mecklenburg County history. She used to say, "I see faces, I don't see cases," right?
Okay.
Because you're talking about seeing this on a repetitive basis, and people are coming to your courtroom. You can get numb to that, and so you recognize, hey, these are real people that have real life issues that have occurred,
right,
and we want to make sure we have that amount of candor when dealing with that. Well, this is the exact same situation. Well, I can understand and appreciate that DOJ is attempting to find ways to cut and curb spending within the government. Great idea. These are still people. So when you're talking about numbers on a screen, we can move these folks here and remove these folks here. These are people that today woke up, didn't have a job. And so when you talk about how can we figure out to get rid of some of these folks, they're doing it from a number of capacities. They're saying, hey, we have some people that we can remove and fire for cause. We have some people that we can remove and fire without cause. When talking about on the personal note, I have a friend that was just fired in that very same situation. I've had clients that reached out to me that have been terminated, and now they're trying to figure out, well, where do I go? Do I have any recourse? And I think that they as in the government have been extremely selective in the way they're doing this and strategic. When folks that are in probationary periods, I think that the law is in the government side. I can terminate a probationary period standing employee without cause. But the language inside some of those dismissals and some of those terminations kind of lean to they were pointing towards cause, because they talk about you lack the skills, you lack the abilities, what you're currently doing doesn't align with the direction that we're attempting to go, and your skill set doesn't meet to the muster for what we believe this position needs to. Well, that would seem like cause. But however, if you're looking at these people's past performance, even when they're in a probationary period, if they're getting promoted, if they're getting recommendations, if they're getting commended for their job, it doesn't connect to the statement saying your skills don't connect to the job. I think that portion may lead them to being some legal ramification. And what I would say if I was advising them is, if you have folks that you could terminate within that probationary period, there's no need to even add any language, because you can fire them without cause.
And I want to give a little bit more context and texture to this, because you're talking about people who are in senior level positions. So that's not retirement age, but it's older. Those are older people who have kids who possibly are in high school, college. You have people who this is their livelihood. So when you talk about being fired, maybe even the head of your household, I mean, that comes with a lot of consequences that happen. So my question for you is, what happens to these workers now who were recently promoted and now told you don't have a job?
I mean, you're in the one day you're so high, right? You're like, wow, I just got promoted in the position that I've been doing for my entire career, working my way up the ladder, not the corporate ladder, but the professional federal employee ladder. And now you're finally there. To come to find out now you're no longer not just in that new position, you're not in any position at all. And you also have to think about this. A number of these folks that are being terminated are living in one of the most expensive places to live in the country, if not the world. And so you have to figure out, how do you manage that? I think some of these folks, because you're talking about almost 500,000 employees that fit into that box of probationary employees. Some would have been there for a year. That's about 280,000. There's some about 220,000 that have been there within 3 years. All would qualify for probationary employees. Any of those folks that are there now, they're saying, A, am I protected, and B, do I need legal counsel? And it will be a case-by-case basis.
All right, Colleague Rhodes, we appreciate you weighing in on such a big, huge story. Thank you. Appreciate it.